Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. A five-judge bench of the Supreme Court has unanimously declared the electoral bond scheme unconstitutional. CJI Chandrachud has stated that the scheme infringes upon the right to information and has a possibility of leading to a quid pro quo arrangement between political parties and donors. While delivering the verdict, the Supreme Court has addressed the donor confidentiality clause of the electoral bond scheme. With respect to this, the court maintains that the right to privacy of political affiliation does not extend to contributions made to influence public policy. The Apex Court has also further directed the State Bank of India to submit to the ECI details donation and the details of the political parties which received the contributions. Additionally, it's directed the Election Commission of India to publish these details on their website. This clearly mandates retrospective name release as well. As the government had mentioned earlier, the guarantee of anonymity of donors in the policy. This brings us to the question, is the court setting a precedent? Remember, well, we all of course remember what had happened in the Vodafone retrospective tax case that had dragged on for years. In fact, the case, which commenced in 2010, was only resolved in the Permanent Court of Arbitration at The Hague in 2020. Well, remember, of course, we are also going to be, of course, looking at how this will pan out with our panel. Joining us at this point is Sharat Kohli, senior economist. Also with us is Himanshu Bhatt, senior journalist. Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, also joins the broadcast. Sharat Kohli, what are the ramifications immediately of this verdict today? How do you view it? And also, do you believe that there could be eyebrows now raised at retrospective naming of certain donors as well?
Well, thank you, Uday, and good evening to all the NewsX viewers. To answer your first question, first part of your question, what will be the ramifications? The ramification is very simple. The donation will stop. The coffers of the political parties are going to run dry because there was a certain degree of privacy which was given in electoral bonds when they came in 2017. And I think, I was just listening to the rant of the opposition parties, celebrating this. Oh, wow, we won the battle. What an element of transparency, justice wins and so and so. As if, in inverted commas, they are doodh ka dhula. Tell me, does any of the opposition parties, have they never taken anything from anybody who's anonymous? I mean, if they come and answer this question, and yes, I can join the celebration immediately. Well, obviously they cannot because at the end of the day, at the root of this money and politics, has been in this country from times immemorial. The problem when late Mr. Arun Jaitley brought this in 2017, I remember, he wanted to bring in some kind of answerability to the funding. I do not advocate that probably electoral bonds, because of its anonymity, brought in transparency and answerability. Answerability came because we should not forget that when somebody goes to a bank, Uday, to buy an electoral bond which is issued by State Bank of India, you can get it from 1,000 rupees to 1 crore of rupees. Your KYC is deposited. Who you are, only thing is your name is then kept as a secret. It is not disclosed under the commitment, under the whole scheme of electoral bonds. They will not disclose. So we, traditionally in our Hindu tradition, there is a concept of Gupt Daan. They say that when you do a Daan and you announce your name, jo uska phal hota hai na, the consequence of that Daan, you lose that. And when the name is hidden, when it is Gupt, you actually get a lot of fruits out of that Daan. Anyway, that was the spiritual side of it. Let me leave that apart. I'm sure, especially the opposition is not going to buy that at all. So let me keep that aside for now. But at least some degree of
because also at the end of the day, political parties are not NGOs.
Exactly. So some kind of answerability, Uday, at least had come. Now, what is going to happen now? How do the elections take place? Let's be practical. Let's not come out of moral science, school book in our class 7 or class 8. What people are celebrating is a moral science. This is not moral science. The fact of the matter is that elections are fought on cash. Elections are fought on some kind of money which is probably not over the board. Is this not true? Why are people hesitating in saying it? That yes, elections are fought on some kind of money which is not on record. And this is not last 5 years, 10 years. It's been like that for the last 75 years. There have been business houses donating. There have been those high net worth individuals donating. You don't have, people who are coming from the informal sector, those workers and those daily wages, they don't donate to political parties. Somebody may be very emotionally in touch, may go and donate, 500 or 1,000 rupees. But major donations come from these wealthier lot of the society. So the fact of the matter is that the parallel economy which moves in our country, the good side of that parallel economy was it was doing a lot of funding for a lot of things, not just elections, but parallel economy used to run a lot of other bad things in the economy. Elections, of course, they turn out to be good sometimes. If you elect a good government, then you end up doing good to the country. So sometimes, if you are donating in cash and it is black money, then you end up making a good government out of black money. So I thought there was by electoral bonds brought some kind of answerability in the funding. Now, what will happen now with this judgment? I think you are going back in time to what used to happen before. What used to happen? There was no record of money coming in. There was no answerability. Forget about transparency. There was nothing. You just go and donate, and sometime it comes on record. Now, I also come from an accounting background. Let me explain you something very interesting. In many parts, I am a chartered accountant as well. Let me tell you what happens. When the money comes in the books of account of a political party, you are supposed to be recording it in the receipt counter, in the receipt account, or on the receipt side of the balance sheet. That's point one. Now, when somebody is donating cash, for example, and that cash is off the record, for example, what will you do? It will not go into the accounts. Whereas, if it was coming to electoral bonds, it had to be recorded because there is already a trail in the bank. So if you miss recording it in your accounts of the political party, there is going to be a mismatch. Tomorrow, if State Bank says somebody donated 1 crore, but your party account doesn't say crore, so this means you're caught on the wrong foot in that case. And mind you, all the political parties are also subject to audit. There is a statutory audit done. So there was a miss. So I think at least that aspect was taken care of. Now what will happen? What some of the parties, I don't know which parties will do. If somebody comes out with a donation, he says, I've got a cash of 1 crore of rupees, then probably it might miss the accounts altogether. I thought this is going to be worse. So what is the opposition celebrating? And I think the people who are celebrating, they will be impacted most. Elections around the corner. How will they fight elections? Tell me, where are they going to get the fund? Are they Raja Harish Chandra? They are going to get funding from somebody who's across the board writing a 10 crore. Here you are, Congress, I write 10 crore. Samajwadi Party, 10 crore for you. Where is he going to show the funds from? Who's going to donate? I think there is a certain practical aspect to it, and politics and money is bad, but then it is routed in our system. It has become inherent part of our system. It cannot be, uprooted by this kind of a thing. I think the government is going to find a way. And I must tell here, as a very neutral person, that BJP, is the biggest party in the world, is the largest political party. It is also a party which has got, I think, most in terms of the corpus. So who's going to be affected? It is ultimately the opposition, which is, how will they make those chartered flights for campaigning? How would those election rallies happen? How would those announcement of those freebies where you give away things in the election rallies? How is all that going to happen? So I think it is good to celebrate, but it is also good to assess the practicality of how things will run. Because this will, I can bet you there, I can tell with conviction, we are going back in the era, again that whole business of cash, unrecorded transactions. So now there were two problems, answerability and transparency. Now answerability was, transparency was not there, agreed, because they were anonymous. Answerability is also gone, transparency is also gone. So I think it was choosing between bad and worse. So I thought bad becomes good. That's my conclusion.
Okay, all right. Let me, in fact, quickly, now go back to Sharad Kohli. Sharad Kohli, let's look at now the way forward. What will perhaps be, corporates, outlook now towards political fundings? Do you believe mechanisms will change? We do know what happened, as I cited earlier, the example of the Vodafone case. Foreign companies, of course, were not, that was not a very good, perception to have of the way business is conducted, and penalties are applied in India for foreign companies and for foreign MNCs. But corporates in general and particular potential donors, what impact will this have on them? And what mechanisms now are likely to be adopted? What's the way forward? Is an ordinance the only answer?
Well, I can sum up my answer to your question in two parts. Through two colors of money. There are two colors of money. So as far as the color which is right now my background, if I talk of that color, that color of money will not face any problem. The problem will come for that color of money when it lands and there is a tax deduction applicable, because there is a section called for political parties where the donor gets a benefit as a donation. So I think for the color behind me, that problem is going to come. And the color that I'm wearing now, let's come down to that one. The color which I'm wearing, you can see on the screen. Let me talk of the other color. Incidentally, the two points I had on the screen right now. So the color which I'm wearing, I think that will go undisturbed. That is going to there's going to be a free flow of that kind of money, whether it is from corporates or it is from non-corporates. It really would not matter, Uday. But it is going to bring back, the problem which existed for such a long time before. In 2017, late Mr. Arun Jaitley brought this concept. So I think we need to understand. And I have a very important point, another point to make, Uday. Because when electoral bond scheme came, I think we need to have a lawyer here who should vindicate what I am saying. That is, when the scheme was brought here, the scheme was inherent with privacy. There was a promise made to the donor that your name would be kept as private. In the good faith, the donors donated that money. Gupt Daan. That Gupt Daan was an inherent promise and a part and parcel of the scheme altogether. Now, with a court judgment overruling the scheme, overruling the promise, reversing the promise. So the person who donated, so there's going to be a legal problem here. The person who donated in good faith that my name is not going to be disclosed. I'll not be on the surface. My name is never going to go there. Although it will remain with State Bank, but it will remain with State Bank. It will not come out in public domain. Now, if a court judgment wants to bring that in public domain, I have a feeling that this is going to be sent as a review petition. This will have to be reviewed for the simple reason this might turn out to be against laws of justice, for the simple reason that I had done something on a promise. Now this is breach of promise, that my name is going to be put up on the portal. So I think two kinds of as far as the color of my garment is concerned, that color of money is going to flow unhindered. And as far as my background is concerned, tax issues will be faced. So I think the political parties from HNIs and from the corporate houses and from other sources, they are all going to face a problem. Hence, I come down to your point that an ordinance at this point, with elections just a couple of months away, I am sure no political party can afford to, hinder their campaigning, hinder the process of elections altogether. This is like hindering the process of election itself. So I'm sure the government is very much in power. It has done in the past. It can do things. It can call ordinance can be issued, and of course it can be ratified later. So I think that seems to be the way out. Unless of course, now I'm putting a rider to it. Unless of course BJP decides to teach a lesson to the political parties. We have enough with us to fight elections. You go to the streets now and let's see how you fight your elections. Unless that happens, I do see an ordinance coming here over.
All right. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us. We've run out of time. It's time for a short break.